podcast where we uncover wisdom that leads to real world transformation. I'm your host, Anya, and tonight we are joined by someone who's walked many professional paths but always followed one purpose: helping others grow. Larry Easto is a lawyer turned coach, a seasoned consultant, and a prolific author with over 40 published books. Through his new How to Succeed in Your Professional Service Business and Transformative Resources like Your Transformation Connection, Larry invites us to explore not just what we do, but why and how we evolve through it. So, if you're standing at the edge of change, consider this your invitation to step into something greater. Let's begin. Welcome to the show, Larry. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Good to be here.
Mhm. So, Larry, you emphasize experiential learning as the core of transformation. Why does this method work better than just giving advice?
Well, experiential learning is it's actually the way adults learn. Most adults have developed a lot of a lot of experience that we get lessons from. So experiential learning allows us to see how things actually work rather than just being told or just being taught. It's a fairly simple process, just a case of being aware of what happened and thinking through what happened, what does that mean, what conclusions can I draw from that, and how can I apply that to my own life. And what the benefits are is that instead of doing what somebody else tells us we should be doing, we do what works for us, which is based on our own actual results. And even if it's a mistake, even if it didn't turn out the way we wanted it, we know, first of all, that's one thing we don't try again. But we can ask the question, well, how could it have been better? What could I have done to make the situation better? So it comes back to us taking full responsibility for our own choices, and hey, who knows us better than ourselves? So it's we've got the best possible information to make the decisions on.
Mm-hmm. Right. And have you ever had a client resist this approach? And how do you guide them to embrace it?
Yes, I've had many clients say, just I don't care the rationale behind it. Just tell me what to do. Just tell me what to do. And I would resist that. I have enough trouble running my own life. I don't want responsibility for others as well. So as politely as possible, couple of cases, as politely as possible, I would say that I just wasn't the right person for them. But what I could do for them is find someone else who could help them. Um, and again, I think of a situation where I was coaching a client in some marketing things, and what this particular client wanted was a checklist. Wanted me to give her a checklist in terms of what she had to do, and everything would work out. And I said, I can't do that because I don't have a checklist. And she got upset about that. So I said, well, look, this is not going to work. Why don't I find someone who will work with you, someone who does have a checklist you can follow, who can do that? So I referred her to another coach that I knew, and it worked out really well. The interesting payoff there was that he was so happy with the referral that he referred people to me that he couldn't work with. If somebody wanted a less directed approach, and he was a very directive kind of person, he would send them to me. So because we were so different, we served different kinds of clients, and we're able to make referrals back and forth. So it worked out well for us and for the clients as well.
I find people often want solutions, but they need empowerment. And that shift can feel uncomfortable before it feels freeing.
Oh, absolutely. I think a lot of us want results fast, and so we go to an expert. Hopefully the expert is going to tell us what to do or what not to do, and wham bam slam dam, the problem is solved. But it really isn't solved. It's like putting a band-aid on a problem, not really solving the real problem. And a lot of people don't don't want to put the time and effort into addressing problems. And there's other people who, strange as this may sound, really like having problems. It gives them an identity. They are a person with a problem. So because they are a person with a problem, they don't have to do this, they don't have to do that, they don't have to do the other things. So they by wrapping themselves in their problems, they lower the expectations, And although they don't achieve a lot, there's less stress because they're functioning at a lower level and say, oh, that's just so and so, that's just the way she is. So the expectations are so low that there's not a lot of disappointment. And again, many people are happy with that. I'm very much committed to personal growth and development, and I kind of think I'm a different person today than I was 3 days ago. But there's other people who are pretty much the same as they were when they're 12 years old. And if that's the way they want to spend their life, that's fine. It's just they're not the kind of people I want to be with. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And your course, your transformation connection, speaks to moving from where we are to where we want to be. What's usually the biggest block in that journey?
Well, there are a number. I think the first one is many of us are afraid of change. Change is a scary kind of a process because it, among other things, it means letting go of things we really don't want to let go of, and it means embracing or looking at things the new things, and looking at new things is kind of scary. So there's a lot of letting go, and that's painful, and there's a lot of learning curve, and that's painful. So the double whammy there. And another problem is people don't really know what they want. And I can identify with this. I made a lot of decisions early in my life by default. I didn't know what I wanted. So any decision was better than no decision. And so I went from one default decision to another default decision to another default decision. And it was only when for through a variety of circumstances, I really learned what I wanted that I was able to say, okay, this is what I want, and I'm going to focus on achieving this, and I want it badly enough that I will deal with whatever problems come up, and as problems come up, as they always will, we work at them. Things get clearer and easier as we take action. So it was a case of learning to really focus on what I want, and I think that's a big thing. A lot of people are comfortable where they are and they say they'd like something different or they say they'd like something better. But when it means learning something new or not doing what they're used to doing, it gets kind of scary. So instead of trying something new, which may be disappointing, they just hang on to what they want, which it may not be the absolute best thing for them, and they may not be totally happy, but they're less unhappy than they would be trying to do something new. So it's a whole mindset kind of thing. As I say, it's some people thrive on change. I'm one of them. I just love to change. Other people resist it like crazy. So it's a mindset kind of a thing. It starts with a limiting mindset or a comfortable mindset. And the other mindset is a growth mindset. So it starts with changing I really do want something better, and then taking action to make it happen. But unfortunately, not everybody's there. So not everybody can change their mind as quickly as some of us. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge. Not impossible, but it's a challenge.
Hmm. Right. And is that block more internal than external? And how can listeners begin to dissolve it?
Oh, it's totally internal. Totally internal. How can they get to change it? That's a good question. That's a really good question. I think we have to to really take a look at people, what drives people. And if somebody really, really, really likes living in the comfort zone, it's going to take something dramatic to get them out of the comfort zone. Maybe a few tweaking here, maybe changing the color of the towels or something, but major changes, it's going to be really hard if they're really settled into a comfort zone. Flip side is some of us change too fast. We had a former neighbor who used to say that I reinvented myself every 5 years. I'm not sure about the time frame of 5 years, but I did go through a lot of changes when we were living next door to them, and we moved in. I guess I was consulting when we moved out. I'd written a whole bunch of books, and she was a person who was doing pretty much the same thing. She retired. She worked for one organization for her entire life, different roles, but basically the same people doing different functions. And change wasn't something she welcomed. So for me to make as many changes as I did was a little strange for her that she commented on it. And for me, it was a little strange that she was doing what she's always being done. So it's just it's mindset. It's desire. And I think some people very early they decide that I'm I'm okay where I am. I don't want to change. Just maybe a little richer, a little happier, maybe, more experience, but get out of my comfort zone, move this area. No, I'm okay. I'm okay here. I'll stay here. And it's a personal choice. It's a personal choice. It's really frustrating for people in organizations who have to deal with people who are resistant because you get people pulling back when the organization wants to go forward. It's hard to get those people on board. And that's why a lot of organizations struggle. It eventually results in a situation that I call lowest common denominator, that we accommodate the low producers in order to keep the peace. If we want to go forward, that's going to be fighting and arguing and challenging and all those kinds of things, and nobody wants that. So we resort to lowest common denominator to keep from fighting it. Again, if that's where people want to be, so be it. But um, that's not where I want to be, and that's not where people I enjoy want to be. So it's a different mindset.
Mhm. I've seen so many people with big dreams, but paralyzed by invisible fears. Sometimes it's not the world saying no, it's our own voice.
Yeah, it's a I wish I had all the answers to that, but I don't. One of the things we kind of realized, or people much smarter than I am have realized, is that our ego, the purpose of our ego is to keep us safe. And the if anything comes up that the ego thinks may threaten us or cause problems, they will find all sorts of reasons for us not to do it. And it's yeah, the ego our ego, or that part of us, is not being nasty. It's not being restrictive. It's just trying to keep us safe, keep us from the tigers in the grass that aren't there anymore. But the thinking still is like that. So, and especially if people have had disappointments in the past, they've tried things and it hasn't worked out. They say things like, "Oh, I've tried a diet several times. It's never worked out, so I'm not going to diet anymore. I just can't lose weight." Well, maybe that's true. Maybe it's not true, or maybe they just didn't have the right motivation, or maybe they didn't have the right diet, or maybe they didn't have the right support system. Who knows? It could be any one of a number of reasons, internal or external. And I think the thing we have to realize is that although we're exposed to lots of mass media and standardization and people saying, if you do this, you too will be successful, that's not the way life is. We all have our own unique combination of skills, resources, experience to build on. So what's right for one person may not be right for another person. And we really have to know ourselves to know what's right for us. So lots of well-meaning people say, "Oh, you do this, you'll be happier." Well, you don't know what my problems are. You don't know what my resources are. So it's a case of really knowing ourselves, knowing our strengths, building on our strengths, and leverage or using our strengths to offset whatever weaknesses we have. So it keeps coming back to that old expression, "Know thyself and to thine own self be true." It takes a lot of self knowledge and a lot of self focus to move forward and make changes.
Definitely. And with 40 plus years across law, consulting, and coaching, how have you personally evolved with understanding of success?
Um, that's a good question. Success for me, it's a moving target. I, I constantly coming up with new things that interest me and engage me and excite me. It starts out with an understanding of what does success mean to me as a person. So when I was in high school, success was finishing high school. When I got married and had a family, it was raising the family, and when I started my law practice, success was having a bunch of clients. Now I'm at the stage that I'm calling it my legacy project. I look back over the past 30, 40 years and think of all the things I've done and all the lessons I've learned. So I'm trying to pull lessons from all these experiences to share them with others as a way of leaving something behind, leaving the world maybe marginally better than I found it all those many years ago. So yeah, success is a shifting kind of a target for me. But I think the end of the day, if I go to bed and I've made a difference for somebody, that's worthwhile. That's worthwhile. And that's I haven't realized until all the past few years that that's been a constant element of my life. It wasn't a case of seeing the light when I was age 50 and changing my life. My first job, my first yeah, first outside yeah, the first job was as a camp counselor. So I was helping campers learn how to do things. And from there on, every job I had involved some element of helping people make a difference. So for me, it's been making a difference, and the nature of the difference is dependent very much on the circumstances. Um, so yeah, and when I was like when I was in 20, success was probably having a party every Saturday night, going to party every weekend, but I can't do that anymore. So it's other kinds of things. So and again, that means that my success, what's success for me may not be the same as what's success for you. So it comes back to, well, what really makes me happy? What makes me feel fulfilled? What makes me feel as if I'm living a worthwhile, purposeful life? So it's a moving target, but it's very personal. For some people, it's you can measure in terms of I want to have $2 million or rupees or whatever, or it's yes I want to have a bestseller, or I want to have whatever. So I think success, there's three categories really. One is what you want to have, what you want to be, and what you want to do. And those vary for all of us. I'm getting a better idea on mine now, but it's taken me a while to get here.
That's amazing. And would you say your definition of success now is more aligned with inner fulfillment than external achievements?
Oh, totally. Just totally. Just yeah. I because I'm pulling on my own experience and telling stories now. Um, Not making up stories, but I'm quite happy talking about some of my experiences, even some that are embarrassingly dumb. I'm okay talking about them because there's always some opportunity to learn in there, and so this is where I'm at now, and even outside of my own world, my own life. I read about something or hear about a situation happening, and I can see a lesson in there. So yeah, I can learn externally, but it's just my own reflection on what did that mean? How could it have been better? What difference does it make? Um, what was right? What was wrong? How did I feel? How did the people around me feel? So it's very much internal. And it's getting more and more consistent. I'm not all over the place as much as I used to be, but it's becoming more consistent and more personal. Much different than it was like 5 years ago. Three years ago, my wife and I moved from these suburbs of Toronto to downtown Toronto, and so that was a life changing experience. Living in a new area, being exposed and meeting new people, not having to have a car, with concerts and theaters and restaurants and great facilities nearby. So that was a life changing experience with all sorts of new experiences to try, new things to do, and new things to get involved in. So yeah, it was life changing. It just life gets better and better. One of my favorite songs is "The Best Is Yet to Come," and I honestly believe that that's true. So
The redefinition is so powerful and honestly necessary because chasing the wrong definition can burn us out before we even get close.
oh yeah, we're using the wrong fuel. It would be like I don't know, like using kerosene in a high performance racing car, or trying to haul a trailer with a high performance racing car. You've got to everything has to be aligned, and we have to have have to be driven by the things that are meaningful to us, not to satisfy somebody else. Um, it again, given the overload of information that we're exposed to, many people are no. I mean, there's lots of experts out there. Many people know lots of things, and so the world is full of shoulds. You should do this. You should do that. You should do the other thing. And theoretically that might work, but man, in my case, if somebody tells me why I should do something, I can think of 10 reasons why I won't. And so it's a case of it keeps coming back to really knowing yourself. It sounds like a cliche, and it sounds a little woo woo, but that's what it is. We see. public people in the public all over the place. They're just saying absolutely stupid things because they're not thinking about what they're saying. They don't really know who they are. They don't really know what their strengths are. They'll say whatever pops into their mouth. And it comes back to having the inner peace, the inner harmony, and knowing who you really are.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And in new beginnings and new opportunities, you offer transformation tools for free. Why was it important to
That's a good question. I mentioned earlier that we moved about 3 years ago, and it was a an amazing experience. So within the first year and a half, I had written two books. And so I had two books, and I thought, gee, do I really want to market two books? So instead of building two books to produce and market, I thought, okay, so we'll do one book and a course. So I did the book, How to Succeed in Your Professional Service Business, and I did a course, a video course, Your Transformation Connection, and I still had a lot of really good content left over. And I thought, this is crazy. I mean, I got all this really good content. There's no point in leaving it leaving it in my archives. So I just bundled it together into another book. Um, into a book. During the pandemic, I wrote the first version of New Beginnings, New Opportunities, and that was basically to help people survive the pandemic. So I had that as leftover content, and then I had leftover content from the two books I'd working on. So as I said, this doesn't make sense to keep it to myself, just leave it sitting on a soft drive or something. So I decided to publish the book, and it's ebook format, so it didn't cost me anything. The work was already done, just pulling it together. So I said, why not pass it out there? And if you know, if people get one or two good ideas out of it, it makes a difference, so be it. And if they can use that to help others, again, so be it. So it was a way of, I guess it was a way of paying back, or paying for it, repaying some of the good things that have come my way free, or people have done for me for nothing, just kind of continuing the sharing it, passing it forward. And it was fun to put together, and there's all sorts of other spin-offs from it, but it's some fairly basic information that not everybody has. Not everybody has had the same kinds of opportunities to learn things as I do, or reflect on them. So it's a way of paying back, and a way of sharing some of the things I've learned. And not everybody wants to buy products, so this is good. And as I say, if it helps a few people, I'm happy.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. And do you believe true transformation should be democratized? And how do we balance that with business sustainability?
Another good question. I think I think that as a business person, it's important for us to constantly be in touch with what our clients need and want. And if we are still doing the same, still providing the same services that we did 20 years ago, and people no longer need them, well, we're not growing our business, and we're not helping our clients. So we have to transform along with the market. We have to pay attention to what's happening in the market. And for non-business people, it's a case of we have to. It's important to be aligned with the changes in society. Not everybody has to be a computer expert. Not everybody has to know how to use a cell phone. But that's the way it is now. I mean, if somebody only has a landline, and other people, everybody else around them has cell phones, it's going to be hard to keep in touch with that person. It's going to be hard to maintain contact. So as an individual, the transformation is necessary just to keep up with times, unless your circle of friends all have landlines and they don't go out. But it's a case of, again, being aware of what's happening around, and how can I apply these developments to make my life easier. And so it's the same whether in business or in personal life. It's there's all sorts of resources around, and instead of resisting or saying I don't want to do them, figure out how they can help us get to where we want to go.
It's refreshing to see someone share so much value without strings. But it also brings up the question, can generosity and growth truly coexist?
I think so. I think so. Um, I think that any kind of business from a small small one person business to a huge business. It's based upon relationships, and it's a relationship between two people. In a professional service business, it's a relationship between two people. And as long as the relationship is sound, they're going to look after each other. Very early in my legal training, one of the senior lawyers said to me that, look after your clients and they will always look after you. And it sounded idealistic, but when I learned more about this man, he'd been bankrupt, and he'd lost one wife, and his wife had died, and he had all sorts of other situations. And clients rallied around him to help him. They brought business to him. They referred business to him. So they looked after him. So I think it's a case of looking after each other. No person is an island. We're on this planet Earth together. So we do things for free. We also get paid for services because we are delivering value, and we are entitled to be compensated properly for the value we deliver, the problems we solve. So yeah, it's all part of a relationship. Sometimes we expect friends to do things for us, and sometimes we do things for our friends without paying. Sometimes we invite them to dinner, say thank you, or that kind of thing. But it's part of the give and take. It's part of maintaining relationships, and I think that's the key. As long as we maintain relationships with our clients, decent, honest relationships, we're going to generate the dollars. We're going to be compensated. They're going to appreciate the help we give, and they're going to pay us for our time and our help. So I think it's a better fit than some people think.
Absolutely. And Larry, thank you for lighting this path from head knowledge to heart transformation. Your work reminds us that we don't need to be told what to do. We need to remember who we are and what we are capable of. And to all our listeners, this is your gentle nudge. Your next chapter isn't waiting for permission, it's waiting for you. If today's conversation sparked something in you, follow that flame. Subscribe, share, and stay curious. Until next time, keep walking towards your inner light.